All right, let's do another general skill challenge here. This one's called Useless. So there's an interesting script in the user's home directory. Let's go ahead and check that out. Yes. Put my password in. I'll just type it out. There we go. All right, let's get rid of this junk. So we've got this useless file here. So let's go ahead and just try and run that. Read the code first. Okay, we can read the code. All right, so what is it that we just did? We took that useless file and we just tried to run it. I don't know if you noticed, but in the terminal, the useless file, when we used our ls command, was returned with text that was light blue. In our specific terminal configuration, files that are executable or runnable they come back as being light blue. So by doing the period slash and the name of our file, we are attempting to run the file. The period and the slash is letting the terminal know where the file that we're trying to run is located. So that period refers to our current directory, and then we are letting it know that within inside of our current directory there is a file called useless, and we are trying to run that file. That should not be a problem. Let's go ahead and hop in there. Well, I wonder if this box is nano. I really do prefer nano over Vim. We don't have nano. That's fine. I guess I will just use Vim. Vim. So what I did there was I tried to run two different text editors. One is Nano and one is Vim. Both are command line text editors, so all of the text editing is done within inside of that terminal there. Unfortunately, this box didn't have them, and so we just moved on and went with a different method. All right, let's just cat that out. That's fine. It's not equal 3. Then echo read the code first, else if then echo read the manual. So let's take a look at this file, and let's talk about the various parts of it and what it ultimately does. So right there at the top, we have what is known as the shebang. The shebang is what indicates what interpreter we are going to use for the following code. So we are going to use the bash interpreter here. This is for the bash. This is for the bash shell. Lots of S's in there. And bash is the born again shell. It's a continuation and improvement on the born shell. There are other interpreters that we could use, like we could use ZSH, we could use Python if we wanted, but for this particular program, we're using the born again shell as our interpreter. The next line, we have just a basic comment, which just states basic mathematical operations via command line arguments. So that indicates to us that this file will probably just perform basic mathematical operations. Following that, we have what is known as an if statement. An if statement is just a conditional statement that'll run a section of code if the conditions inside of the brackets there are met. So in this case, we have if $pound not equal to 3, then we're going to echo read the code first. So let's break down what that means. So the $pound there indicates if the number of arguments. So the $pound represents the number of arguments. Each argument is each new condition that is passed beyond the initial call to our program. So, like, let's use ls as an example. So if we just call ls on its own, we are making no additional arguments. If we do ls tech a, which is to produce all files, then we are providing with one argument. If we do ls tech a tech h is human readable, if I remember correctly, then we are providing with two arguments. So what this line is checking for is that if the number of arguments equals 3. What is equal sign? The equal sign stands for not equal to. So if the number of arguments is not equal to 3, then we're going to echo read the code first. What echo is a command that echoes back to you in the command line whatever you provide it. So we're going to echo back read the string read the code first. So what happens if our if statement conditions are not met? Well, then we move on to our else statement here. And inside of our else statement, we have another if statement here. So this next if statement is if $1. So what is $1? $1 represents our first argument. So if our first argument equal add, what's with the double equal sign? So the double equal sign is is indicating an equivalency check. It's important to note that a single equal sign is used for assignment, while a double equal sign is for checking equivalency. So if our first argument is equivalent to the string add, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to create a variable called sum. And sum is going to be the combination of argument 2 plus argument 3. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to echo back out the sum is the sum variable. So next we're going to run into this else if statement. An else if statement is like an else statement, but with extra conditions. So if that first argument does not equal add, then we're going to move on and we're going to check if that first argument equals sub. And if it does, we're going to go ahead and we're going to subtract our second argument from our third argument. I think you're starting to see the pattern here. Then we have another else if. This next else if checks if our first argument equals div. If it does equal div, we're going to divide our second argument by our third argument and print that resulting quotient out to the command line. Following that, we have a fourth else if, where we check if our first argument is equal to mul. If it is equal to mul, we're going to go ahead and we're going to multiply our second argument by our third argument and print that out to the command line as well. And then finally, we have another else statement. So this else statement is a catch-all for all the ifs and else ifs above, excluding the very first one. Just to clarify there. And so if we do provide it with 3 arguments, and none of the 3 arguments, and that first argument doesn't match add, sub, div, or mul, we're going to go ahead and we're going to print out echo read the manual. And that's all that does there. I hope that helps. It's 3 arguments, right? 2, 1. All right, so now it's telling us to read the manual. All right, I mean, that's cool. So is there a man page for our useless function. There is. Very nice. So what we just did there was we pulled up the manual page using the man command. Now, not all installed programs will have a manual page, but a lot of them do, and it's a great tool. And if you ever feel like you're stuck with a program, or feel like there's some feature that just like has to exist, but you don't know how to make that work, I'd always recommend checking to see if there's a man page. It's a lot more detailed than just using like tac help or tac help or tac h to get information on the program that you're using. And in this case, it's actually what held our flag. Oh, it's just inside of the man page. All right, let me just overthink that for a second. Let's go ahead and hop over here, grab our flag, jump back to our main screen, and there we go. Simple as that. All right, well, there you have it. That was our useless CTF. I hope that you were able to get something out of that. Maybe you learned something new. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to be putting out a video for every one of the almost every one of the PicoCTF 2023 challenges that I solved. And if you enjoy this type of content, or if you're just looking to learn something new, keep an eye out. Thank you.